Okay, there wasn't a lot in this show because we're 2 days away from Rebellion. So I'm going to shoot through this and have my final thoughts on TNA in general. I'm not saying about Rebellion, just TNA in general. What's been going on since the firing of Scott D'Amore. Let's make it clear. First match. Guido versus Hammerstone. You know what was going to happen. We got Josh outside. It was just to set the match up. Nunzio basically got his clock clean. That guy is still wrestling. He's as skinny as he ever was. And he got destroyed and he sold pretty damn well. The guy knows how to sell. But this is for their match. Am I interested? Yes. Will that interest go beyond Rebellion? Don't know. Moving on. LSG versus... Let me give it to you like this. Am I sold on Joe Henry? He was funny with Yuri Uemura. Joya was interesting. But Yuri Uemura was not interested in that type of thing. He's not used to it. And it didn't last because he went back to New Japan Pro Wrestling because his time with TNA or Impact was up. Or he just did not want to continue doing that. Or both. That was the only really interesting thing with Joe Henry. I'm sorry, it just was. Does that mean his promos are boring? No. Does that mean his vid packs are boring? No. It's just at this moment they got nothing for him to do. And yes, he is going up against Rick Swann at Rebellion instead of AJ Francis. But as I've said before, he's not really doing much. And I want to say this about AJ Francis as well as Rick Swann in First Class. It's actually pretty good. I'm interested. But as I said before, and I want to make this very clear, we are still getting an AJ Francis who has a chip on his shoulder where he feels like he's got to show off and show that he can do what he does in the ring, which is wrong. AJ Francis is a big-ass man who is fast, who is strong, but he's not agile. And seeing him jump out the ring and do a forward flip where sometimes he almost lands on his damn ass and breaks his tailbone is not something I think is good for him. Not because he can't somewhat be agile. He just isn't agile for what he's doing. He could be agile in other ways. He just doesn't need to do that forward flip outside the ring. It just shows him as a one-trick pony. And that's not meant to be an insult. I want to make this clear. If AJ Francis saw this right now, I would tell him, dude, with respect, you got a great look. You know how to talk. You got great promo skills. And you are decent in the ring. But being agile is not something that you're good in that one aspect. Try another aspect other than flipping outside the ring and almost landing on your ass. You know that's happened more than a few times in TNA. And what they messed with you in WWE, which that was not right. Let's make it clear. Even though you probably went with what they did, because you were getting some level of traction, that was not fair. Let's make it clear. They like to fuck with people like that. Look what happened with Titus O'Neil when he fell under the ring. They didn't need to go so far with him. That could have drove someone insane. That was basically like hazing in a sense. In your case, you had the same thing. You had a storyline with it, and it was a sucky storyline that you deserved better. I'm being honest with that. But I still say flipping forward outside the ring does not show your true agility. It doesn't show you're great. What will make you great is doing more than just what pissed you off when they ribbed you about it. I'm just saying. Moving on. What did we get from the Grizzled Young Vets, Ali, Witten? And I know there's one person say, oh great, we got the Deaners back. No. We got Jake something, we got Diener, and then we got Rhino. Now, the setup for Rhino was from Diener, making it very clear that he can't do anything without the approval of anyone or everyone in the arena. They could have done a 2-on-3, but he asked the fans, do you want to make it a 6-man tag? And they said yes. They got Rhino, had the match. Fine match. It's a setup for a Jake something and an Ali. No problem. This was not about the Grizzled Young Vets. It was not about Diener. This was not about a Rhino, which did get a good pop. It was a the 2300 arena. They're always going to give him a pop. It was about those two. But the one, I know who you are. You know what I'm talking about. You want the Deaners back? I said no. And this is why. Look what happened. Diener didn't respond like that was his cousin Jake. That storyline is dead. Jake something is Jake something. Diener is Diener. You don't always need to go back to the same damn well every single time. Sometimes if you go back, it ruins whatever you've already laid before. Sometimes you just can't go back. And in this case, they're not going back. And I'm glad they didn't, because I don't want to see the Deaners back together. I don't want to see Jake with his cousin to get back together. There's no cousin anymore. They're just wrestlers. I'm hoping they never go back to that, because they don't need it. That was when they didn't have any gimmick. That's the reason why the Deaners were created. Cody doesn't need to be Cody Deaner from the Deaners anymore. He is just Deaner. Moving on. We got Rosemary versus Jody Threat. Now, this is going towards their tag match at Rebellion. Now, it's supposed to be at the beginning of the show or on the kickoff show. I think it's at the kickoff show. I hope not, because women deserve a little bit better. They could have at least 2 matches on the card. I'm hoping it will not be the women's tag championships on the kickoff show. I'm hoping it will be on the main card. That's what I'm hoping for. That's just me. You know who's going to win. They need to make sure that the K means something. Look, I love me Rosemary. I love me Havoc. They're not bad characters when they're applied correctly. And at this moment, they've been applied pretty well, but we don't see them a lot in the back. Unless you look at YouTube, which a lot of people don't. Guys, not everyone watches YouTubes and looks at their promos, if they do any promos, counting when YouTube ever shows promos. They mostly show a lot of repeats of old matches and a lot of what's going on before. And they do show Explosion, which I have not watched yet. I have not watched the previous Explosion. I don't have the time. So I have not watched it yet. But at least they are showing something, but not everyone's going to see it, and you need to show it on the show. I'm just saying. Now, the last match, the System versus the Guns. This is an actual match for the titles. Whoever go next would have gone against Speed Mountain. Do I believe that was the wise thing to do? No. I don't agree with them doing this before that, because it was very predictable. There was no way the Motor City Machine Guns was going to win. I'm sorry, guys. I know that not everyone would agree, but you don't do this often. And I know they haven't done it often, but it's way too predictable. I wish they had not done this. The Motor City Machine Guns having this opportunity, just a match would have been fine. But having a match for the titles was wrong. It just screamed, you are going to job. And that's what happened. And worse yet, we didn't see dissension between Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, which it should be. I keep thinking this is what I keep thinking, that Alex Shelley is going to break away, but I keep feeling like the best place for him is in the System. Because he's tried to work with the System before. And look what he got. He finally got the title. But then it feels like the System screwed him over. Now, we got the System against him, and it feels like the System should be where he belongs. It's just me. This is how I feel about it. I'm just saying, it just feels like it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, it just feels like it. Now, let's do a little bit of the backstage stuff. Macklin's video wasn't too bad, but we don't know what they're going to do with him at Rebellion. He said he's going to be there, we don't know. Ash of Elegance is going to have a match, I believe, next Impact. Not at Rebellion, because she's just going to show up. Let's make it clear. Is Ash beautiful? Hell yeah. Does she have a body you want to bang? Male or female? Yes. Has she been playing into her character? Yes. Now, that's something not everyone's going to want to hear. I know not many people care. But Ash of Elegance made it very clear on Busted Open Regular. The reason I botch here is because not everyone saw her Busted Open Radio interview. They did. But when it comes down to it, she promised that she was going to play into her actual type of attitude, but to the nth degree. She cares about elegance. She cares about style and presence. She doesn't get a lot of that in WWE as Dana Brooks. So in this situation, this is what she wants to be. She wants to be like a Marilyn Monroe style type of woman. She mostly is in real life, probably. And now she's showing an nth degree version of herself, which she's playing into. Is it the most incredible thing? No, but it's working. It is what she is. She's playing as a bombshell with great tits and ass that can get angry and wrestle. And I'm not saying her wrestling is incredibly great, but it is better than what we normally saw on the main roster of Raw and SmackDown. It's an NXT style wrestling that she's doing. And that's what we get from her. Now she's going to have a match with Brookside. And I do believe it will be on Next Impact, not at Rebellion. So the question is going to be, will this lead anything or lead anywhere for Brookside and particularly Ash? The question is going to be, you bring in Ash, you got to do something with her. Because when you look at Ash, you got Ash of Elegance, and then you got someone who's similar to herself, which is Gazelle Shaw, which we have not seen on the main roster for quite a while. Since her man is gone, we have not seen her. And if you don't know who her man is, it's Scott D'Amore. So we have not seen her on the main roster in a bit. Either she's injured or she's working on Explosion. I have not seen Explosion, so I don't know. But you got two women who are very similar. You got the quintessential diva, and you got basically the first diva in the sense of a Marilyn Monroe type in an Ash who's got that. So that's what we got. Let's make this very clear. The segment between Eric Young and Eric Young, I liked it a lot. I'm going to talk about Jonathan Gresham as well because he's got something very similar. But Eric Young's segment talking about his Full Metal Mayhem match at Rebellion to himself, who was wearing the white mask, saying, "You need me, let me out." And he says, "You know what? Okay, I don't like it." But he says, "Every time you got a problem, you got to bring me back." So that's what we got there. I think that segment was quite effective. And then you go to Jonathan Gresham, who talked about having 3 masks, and he's only shown 2 of those 3. The question is, with all these promos, what are we getting? What will we get when we see him? Will he change his style? Will he become more vicious? Will he become more cruel? Will there be something that we've never seen from Jonathan Gresham when he was in ROH, AEW, or now before in Impact Wrestling? This new version of TNA, Jonathan Gresham, will it be good? Don't know. Hopefully it will mean something. Let's see. What am I forgetting? Am I forgetting anything? If I'm forgetting anything, I'm sorry. We now need to talk about, Jordan Grace. I'm going to leave that alone. Her segment when it came to SDL, I'm not going to talk about. We do know that Matt Cardona is supposedly injured, and he's not going to be at Rebellion, supposedly. So I'm not going to talk about that. But I am going to talk about the final segment, which was the Nick Nimitz and the Moose segment, which was the best part of the show for me personally. This was what we needed from Nick and from Moose. And Nick, Dolph Ziggler, played into his original character. He spoke his original name while the segment was going on, where Moose was saying that you don't know what you are. Basically, because you can win this, but do you actually believe you can make it work? Because every time when you got something, you're choked. You're a choke artist, as John Cena would say in his 5 questions of the champ, that you're a choke artist, as he always says. If you've never seen 5 questions from the champ, find it on YouTube. There's still some videos that are up where he says this is a disclaimer that whatever's being said here is not sanctioned by WWE. This is about John Cena and pretty much the Brooklyn Brawler and Steve Lombardi. I still love that. Not all the time I watch it anymore, because I used to watch it all the time. I used to watch it on repeat because I just laughed my ass off when it came to John Cena when he was still when he just did the Marine, the original one. But as I said, what Moose brought up that he's considered a choke artist, what I felt was the best thing that Nick Nemesis ever said, he said here. Because he made it very clear. I know what you're saying because everyone's always said it about me, that I can't get it done. And you think this is Dolph Ziggler getting in that damn ring with you. It is not Dolph. He needed to say that. He needed to say Dolph Ziggler because everyone still sees him as Dolph. They don't see him as Nick Nimitz. They don't. Look, no one's ever going to see him 100% as Nick Nimitz. They'll still see him as Dolph until he goes back to WWE, if he does go back. And he goes back to the same thing as he did before. Now, I know people would say, well, he'll get it better. I don't know if he'll get it better because they always use him as an emergency break glass. And now, they got a lot of emergencies break glass wrestlers now. Him going back to WWE in the style that they have right now that is very similar to the black and gold NXT, they don't need a break glass Dolph Ziggler. They don't. Dolph Ziggler may be one of the best all-around wrestlers there is. But now they got at least 7 to 10 guys that are very similar to him on the Raw, SmackDown, or NXT rosters that are willing to go further than him because he was smart enough not to go so far to hurt himself or anybody else. They're willing to bust each other's mouths open. Let's be honest. That's how the style is in WWE. I'm hoping he never goes back to WWE. Let him bounce between TNA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and AEW. Maybe work NWA, even though they're not very popular. At least he'll have a chance to be one of the most oldest organizational promotions there is. That might be an accolade he can always hold to him. I don't know if he'll ever get the NWA title, but I wouldn't mind seeing him there. But you get my point. Him going back to WWE makes no sense. But hearing him say that they would see him as Dolph Ziggler was needed for this segment. And seeing there was no fight, like what WWE would do and what Impact Wrestling Light would do, you just had Moose hold the title over his head, brought it down, and leaves the ring, and let Nick have the moment go like this, or like this. Clearly, they at least did a good closing segment for the show. And I'm fine with it. This was, I can tell you, one of the rare times when you look at when there is a pay-per-view, that they did the setup pretty well at the end for the most important match. This one I can easily say was one of the best I've seen in a while. And it's not one of the most flashiest. It's not one of the most heartfelt type of promos. It's not meant to be. It's just meant to let you know one-on-one booking is what we want to do, at least for this segment. So I'm fine with it. But tell me how you feel about it. And I hope you enjoyed this TNA review. Please leave a comment below. Maybe give a like or two. Maybe, even though I don't have an X, if you do have X, leave a connection to the video. Maybe someone will like it. But then they'll say, dude, why did you leave a connection in your X for this guy? This guy's got crooked teeth. A lot of times he botches. He doesn't stay on focus all the time and he keeps missing something. Well, guess what? I do that. But, and this is the thing you guys are going to understand, I'm one of the rare few people that is the most genuine you're going to get. I'm not doing this to make money. If I did, I would be selling merch like Just Alex and JD by now. Let's make it clear. Just Alex and JD is selling merch. I'm not selling no merch. I'm not doing a damn thing. Only thing I'm doing is just telling you my opinion. And I care more about saying how I feel than hopefully not pissing off my fans. Peace.